There we go. All right.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't get a chance to cut it on quite yet. All right. Welcome to the Board Drill Podcast. We're here live from the Playbook Clinic in Orlando, Florida. I got Coach Dixon. Coach Dixon, why don't you go ahead and take it away because you're on site, so you're the host for today.
Yeah, we got Coach Brad Lord here from Southlake High School, and I'm going to introduce Coach Lord, and we're going to just kind of talk about what he saw today. I know we had a good little session with the FHSAA. So, Coach Lord, so far, how do you think? What do you think of the Playbook Clinic?
Uh, really like it. I think we learn a lot at these clinics, and today I learned I know Mr. Harrison for a long time, and now that I'm at a new school and stuff, it's always great to get caught up on everything, especially social media and how to do that correctly. So not an old man like me is going to mess it up all the time. That's what I hire them young coaches for.
Absolutely, Coach. And can you kind of tell us about where you've been? I know you were at Foundation Academy before.
I was the head coach there. I actually took over the football program after 2 years. They had started it. They didn't have much success, and I was blessed to have great coaches and great families in Winter Garden that believed in us, and we had some great runs. I retired in 2020 because I didn't want to coach my son. I wanted to watch him play, and I wanted to be a dad. So I got to watch him play, and I was playing a lot of golf, and two friends of mine came up and said, Southlake High School was struggling, and you're the guy who can go in there and turn it around. And it sort of revived me, and I'm having a blast. I lost 30 pounds since I went up there and coached, and I think my wife's in better liking me out of the house more.
There you go, Coach. Coach Bradburn, any questions?
Right? So every year coaches go out and they go to clinics and they have some main focuses. What are your main focuses as you and your staff go out to clinics? Are you guys looking for anything in particular? Are you looking just to learn general things? Are you looking for something very specific? Oh, did you lose me there? I think we got disconnected there for a second. Give us 2 seconds.
Can you hear now, Coach?
Yeah.
Okay, re-ask your question. Sorry, Kyle.
Yeah, sorry. No, it's all right. Technical difficulty. This is our first live broadcast. So, Coach, every year coaches go out. Are we good, Matt?
Nope, we're not. Technical difficulty, we're fixing it though.
We're getting it fixed with technical difficulties here, but no worries. It is part of growing and being on our first live stream. So,
What's happening with audio?
Matt, do you just want to relay my question then?
No, I can hear him now.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. So in general, I always ask coaches, they're out, they're at clinics, they're going to visit colleges right now. What are your main focuses during the off season, this off season, as far as learning as a staff?
I came to this clinic alone. My whole staff will be going to the Nike clinic in a few weeks. With this being the first time this clinic, I wanted to see it, and my whole staff will be back here next year. Great clinic. I like to learn. My goal of the clinic is if you get one thing out of a clinic, it's worth the money. I mean, you could go and you can save a life, you can make your program better, you can help kids more, and it's all about the kids, not about the coaches. I know we all like our wins and losses, and we can do stuff and say things, but in the end, it is about the kids. It's about getting that, I'm 63, I've done this a long time. I can tell you that I enjoy a call on Father's Day from a former player who didn't have a father more than I do a win in the state semifinals.
No doubt. We talk about it all the time. Building relationships is so important. We've done 14 episodes now, and every coach comes back to building relationships. There hadn't been a single coach that talks about just winning and losing. So, Coach, you're echo in this community, and that's why I love to be in this community. And I'm technically on the outside now, but I still want to stay so connected because those relationships mean so much all around. So, are you guys going to visit any colleges this year? Are you guys going out to any schools?
We're going to take a bus tour. I did it when I was at Foundation. We used to take 2 vans, go to UCF, participate in the 7-on-7 in lineman camp. Then we would leave and go on a 5-day tour. We've been to Alabama for 2 days when I was there. We've been to Georgia. We've been to see Dabo at Clemson. This year we're thinking, Georgia, Florida, maybe hitting at Troy. I like to give the kids different schools, not all Power Five schools, right? Because we don't have all Power Five players. So, we'll hit a Furman, and we might hit an NAIA school or a Samford, and then come back. I'd like to go to Mike Norvell's camp. Haven't been to one of his camps. I heard he does a great job at the camp.
Oh, yeah.
So hit him on the back end. But we go 5 days, and they go camp, and they get on that bus, and they're excited, and they're like, we're going to have a blast, swim in the pool. Well, guess what? They're mostly in bed right after dinner.
I can imagine after all that, you probably get pretty tired, but it's really awesome to hear coaches taking it around, going to different schools. And so while you're taking those guys to camp, do you guys get a chance to get on the board with some of the coaches at those schools and learn a little football yourselves?
Absolutely. I mean, Coach Saban and Coach Sweeney, when we went to both of them, they would not only go in and talk to our players in the dorms while they were staying. I remember like Danny Stutzman, who plays at Oklahoma, who played for us. We were at Alabama, and I had Warren Sapp's son who played for us at Foundation. Yeah. And we were at Alabama, and they were doing work, and Coach Saban brought us in the office and more or less gave us his weight room program.
Nice.
It was phenomenal. And, yeah, I mean, when Scott Frost was at UCF, he'd pull us in, and I'll never forget Coach McElwain when he was at Florida. I remember Cameron Duke and myself being the only guys there on a Friday, and we got to be in his office and do stuff on the board. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, me and Matt have a very, I don't know how much we can talk about it out loud, but a very famous story about a particular clinic we're at that maybe is in the area where there was a keg dropped at the end of the clinic and just our staff was there. And so the head coach, and I will not say who it was, looked at us and goes, "Boys, we're finishing this keg before we leave." And it was just the Oviedo staff and the staff awesome. At this school. So it kind of a funny story, but it was great because we sat around there. We had a few beverages, but we had a whiteboard, and boy, that thing was full by the time we were done. So that was kind of a really cool experience.
Get coaches on beer.
Oh yeah,
coaches on beer is different story there.
It is.
Hey, Coach, you brought up Danny Stuntsman. You guys had great success at Foundation Academy. Can you talk about kind of what went into that success and what you learned from being there at Foundation Academy?
Well, started with, I'll never forget the first year I coached there, our offensive line was about 150 pounds across the board. So we started with a single wing, and, we won 4 games that year. They thought I was Lombardi. And we won like a Sunshine State playoff. We were in the Sunshine State at that time. And we left the following year. We started developing a culture, sort of running it like a college program. We were year round, weight room, summer training. And my coaches were really dedicated because at that, Foundation Academy wasn't as big as it is now. It was struggling financially. Winter Garden hadn't popped yet. The real estate market didn't pop yet. And, we worked them hard, and we do the same thing at Southlake now. It's no different. I'm running almost the same program, except I'm learning, how to talk to younger kids better. And that's what I look for at this clinic, at these clinics. Last year I was, not to get off topic, but last year I was at the Nike clinic, and I was going to go see James Franklin speak, and I've seen him speak before. And I went into this topic, psychology with today's athletes, and they were talking about coaching post-COVID. Yeah. And I was like, oh my, I mean, I was a sponge in there. Because older guys like that, we always need to know how to connect to our kids. I think we did 100%. I mean, Stutzman is special, but Stutzman also, he was an unbelievable leader. I'll give you a quick Danny Stutzman story. His last year was the COVID year. We went to the state semifinals that year. Our school got shut down for a week, and so did the opponent's school. I think it was OCP we were supposed to play. And my president of the school, hey, everything's shut down. You can't coach anything like that. I'm like, no. Then all of a sudden, for the week, Stutzman's running practice at a different field, and our whole team's showing up, right? And I'm like, to the president of the school, I'm like, hey, it wasn't me. I promise you, I wasn't there. Right?
Nothing we can do about it, right?
That's the type of kid he was. He had an unbelievable defensive line in front of him. He had the kid who went to South Carolina, Brian Thomas Jr. He had Donovan Branch, who went to UConn, Reggie Jean, who's at Northern Illinois, and Edward Bird, who's playing at Southeastern University. So Stutzman got to run. He was unbelievable. There's no doubt about it. He's a freak. But he also had those 4 beasts in front of him.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, Coach, you just got out of a talk with the FHSAA where I know Justin Harrison showed up. Can you talk a little bit about on right now in the FHSA, maybe some of your thoughts? Don't have to go too far on it, but, just basically where you're at as a coach.
Justin was awesome. One of the big things that's going on in football now is in Central Florida is these 7-on-7 teams, right? So they're not only playing, you can do school 7-on-7 through and everyone thinks it's the FHSA 7-on-7. It's FH 7-on-7.
Yeah.
But you can sign your school up and you play during the week. And I know we got one with South Sumter in February. And, I told my kids we're not doing them unless they wear soft helmets. So I bought the soft helmets for them. They don't like wearing them. And I told them, well, good, stay at home. You're going to wear this soft helmet. But I thought Justin handled a lot of questions. It was on recruiting and it was on, a lot of answers because it's changed so much. It changes yearly. There's more openings. There's more layers to it, right? So
yeah.
And I'm pretty versed with the FHSA. I've been to appeals meetings. I'm pretty well versed on the rule book too. But I wanted to know about 7-on-7 because these assistant coaches who don't get paid a lot of money in Florida, a lot of them are going out to do it because they can start a team in an area that might not be saturated in it, make a few extra bucks to support themselves. But you got to be careful on it because now a kid from that team comes and follows,
then you have
it's
issues,
not a good scene. And I've talked to my assistant coaches about that. I know I have a few who are doing it now. So,
yeah, it's so weird. Like we said, there's so many changes. And I think the biggest thing coaches get frustrated about is that it feels like our playoff system changes every other year or every year. And coaches are pretty frustrated.
Does anyone here know how to figure out the Max Preps algorithm? Because I'm a pretty good numbers guy and I don't have it figured out yet.
So
Matt, I've been working on it. Yeah. So our coach, I'm going to get you what we've done so far. We've been working to break it down in my Algebra 1 class. I think we're pretty close now. There are some things that are just outliers. I'll tell you this. Did you know that in this algorithm, if you don't play a game due to weather or something like that, it hurts you?
Absolutely. I did know that.
Okay. So that was surprising to me. It was surprising to me to see that if you forfeit, it's way worse than losing. But also, if you get forfeited too, it's way better than winning a game.
That's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I really do believe too. Now, okay, let me keep up with it. Last year we were 4 Suburban. Now we're 6A, right? And there's only up to 7A because I used to be 8A. I got to keep track of all this stuff. Yeah, but look, if you're a 2A team and you beat a 6A team, you should get extra points for that. It shouldn't be just on records. And they used to do it that way. Okay. I will tell you this, being in 1A through 4A as many years as I was, instead of having 16 districts, the regions work.
Yeah.
Having 8 regions. Same amount of teams, right? And you take the 4 from each team for the players. It works. Again, no one knows the Max Preps algorithm. I mean, I'm old-fashioned. I like District 1 and 2 go. Right?
Yeah. Matt,
you're a math teacher, right?
No, I'm a history teacher, but I'm a math guy.
Okay.
Don't
understand
don't
what
let
I
my
said.
wife know this, but I play a lot of poker. So I'm a number
There we go.
No,
I'll be able to send you something that you'll understand.
Yeah, it's
I will.
exactly
That's
what you're
awesome.
talking about. The issue is the transparency, right? It's that everybody just wants to know how to calculate the thing, not max preps, which doesn't give their algorithm out, not any of that. We just want to be able to double check, and we want to be able to have an idea moving forward. We don't want to have to wait for a result and try to figure
Correct.
that out. So everybody's a little frustrated over that. You'll constantly see me on Twitter tweeting about transparency all the time. I don't care what the ranking is. Just let us know how to calculate it, and every coach will feel a whole lot better.
Correct. I'll never forget. Like 4 years ago, we were talking about. We played a game. I think we were 8-2.
Yeah.
And I had to stay up because Zephyr Hills Christian played a team from California. And I had to see if that California team won their game in their California league to see if I was going to go to the playoffs. Insanity.
What are we doing at this point? So I'm with you, Coach. And then, like you said, there's just more layers, and now we know NIL's coming too. So it's just going to continue to get crazier.
We can barely pay the coaches we have now and keep them in Florida, but now we'll probably need player development coaches on each staff to figure out that.
Yeah,
and I fear with NIL. My biggest fear with NIL, and people who see this might not like it. My biggest fear is parents are going to control teams.
No, 100%.
That's my biggest fear.
That's not a fear.
Absolutely.
That's reality, Coach. We've already talked to coaches in other states that talked about how an incoming freshman or a kid is your starting quarterback as a freshman, and the dad's coming and asking for money to stay there as a sophomore. And the coaches, it's the same thing, right? NIL, and I can go through this. I worked in recruiting in college and all that stuff. NIL in its purest form was, look, you can sell your name, image, and likeness. So if you're a kid, so if you're a kid and a car dealership says, "Hey, come do these 3 commercials for us, and we'll give you whatever the amount is, $100K," that was fine. But now it's turned into, instead of me being able to go out and market myself, it's turned into, Coach, you need to go market me and get me money. And like at the high school level, like we're high school football coaches, we're teachers, we're parents, we're dads, all this other stuff. We don't have time to go do that. And like you said, Coach, the average coach in the state of Florida makes $47,500 as a teacher.
Correct.
Like if I'm going out to get anybody an NIL deal, I'm getting myself one first. I don't want to sound selfish, but ultimately I need my daughter to eat first. I mean, I'm just telling the truth here.
I was looking at my wife, and I are fortunate that I can do this job. If I had to raise a family on this, I couldn't do it. Okay. But we're fortunate, and that's why I got into. I started as a head coach at 42. Right. I always wanted to do it, but I had to, pay for stuff. Florida's got to take care of their coaches first of all.
100%.
Or they're not going to have many. All right. The NIL, maybe we'll bring. I've talked to some coaches in some other states, and Mr. Harrison brought it up too, that the rules got stricter as far as recruiting went with the NIL. I think it's gonna. I think it's gonna be out of control. I think what you said, the freshman's father who gives $500,000 to the school, to the kid, or whatever it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Who's going to get the best deal? So there's going to be a group of teams who gets the best deals for everyone that are going to dominate. And I see a lot of teams and schools that are going to struggle with this. And if you're not up to date with it, you're going to be behind.
I find it very interesting that at pretty much in any school district, in order to even use a picture of a kid, you got to have a consent form from the family. And now we're going to pay them for name, image, and likeness, but you can't use it unless you have a consent form. It's crazy.
I don't understand how they're going to do it either. I've seen on Twitter some schools, they put out kids' names and their huddle links and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I went to my principal and I said, I'm not doing that. I'll do direct notes to the coaches. And I'm also going to have my parents sign a waiver that I can release that information to the coaches in this day. And like you said, now they're going to be able to put that stuff out on social media, it's going to be an absolute disaster.
It's
In
crazy.
my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm old.
And to get back to what you're saying about paying coaches in the state of Florida, we actually have an organization here that's working for that, right? The Florida coaches, pay, it's always the hashtag pay Florida coaches. And hopefully, I think, Matt, we're working out right now where we're going to have the leader of that organization on our podcast here in the next couple of weeks. So
That's
we're
great.
definitely,
Yes, sir.
for that.
yeah, we're definitely big champions of it, Coach. I'll tell you right now, the reason why I'm not coaching is exactly what you said. It's a money thing. I had a daughter. I need to move out of teaching because we need to make a little more money. And so that's what I do now. I work for a private golf company, and I miss coaching. I just don't have the time to do it. So that's why we started this podcast. So we are huge champions of coaches making more money.
And that's right. And, and after you retire I was playing golf 3 times a week, and after you retire for a few years and then you come back and then your wife says to you, you're popping 70 hours a week again. And I said, that's a light week, it's a light
Correct.
week, which is true,
Yeah.
And
so
if you're not coaching full time, you're behind. So
correct. And me and Matt are going to do everything we can to champion paying Florida coaches. Obviously, we do this podcast for coaches nationwide. And by the way, if you're in another state and you want us to champion your state, we're in on it too. We just happen to be from Florida, so we're passionate about this. But hey, if you're in Iowa or Tennessee or South Dakota or wherever, we got your back too. We know that teachers and coaches need to make a lot more money because it's just insanity to expect people to make $47,000 and a $4,000 stipend and work 100-hour weeks, just like you're saying, Coach. I mean, what are we doing?
Then you got coaches, and that's why these coaches are going out training and running 7-on-7 teams because they're looking to put a little extra cash in their pocket in the field they know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing how that works, right? But then people get upset at coaches for doing it, so it's a vicious cycle. Coach Dixon, I got a few more questions since we have a coach with experience here. Coach, we always talk to young coaches on this podcast because we're trying to help mentor them as well. What's the one thing you would have told your younger self as a coach if you could go back in time and tell yourself that right now? Is there like one piece of advice you would have given yourself?
Yeah, be a better time manager and spend more time with my family. Make sure I took a day to spend with my family.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I say that's the number one thing. My kids were coaches. My son went to every summer camp, went on the bus tours that we talked about earlier, and he loved it. But I had 2 daughters who were great athletes, right? And I was coaching the varsity football team, and they're playing basketball, softball, and multiple sports, cheering and stuff. I mean, I really never got to sit down and watch my daughter cheer a whole game. So
wow.
I'd say to young coaches, don't miss that. Make sure you schedule time for that and downtime. Whether you're reading a book or chilling, you got to break away from football a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love college football. I love watching. I'll be home watching the NFL today. My wife flew out of town for her niece with the baby, so I get to watch. But same with the wife. I mean, don't take your wife for granted. They're behind you, and you're working 70 to 80 hours a week, and it's easy to lose them. And simple, I love you use the word. Talk for 10 minutes. And, hey, I'm gassed. Yeah, I've been with kids all day. I'm coming off the field. I want to go to bed at 9 o'clock. Me now. I want to go to bed at 8. Okay, but that would be my biggest advice, especially to young coaches who are in a relationship.
Yeah.
To spend time with their significant other and make sure they make that time. Force it, even when they don't feel like it and they think they're going to get a coach's meeting in or something like that. Make that time for their families and their significant others.
That's some great advice, Coach.
It is, and we've all been guilty of it, right? Me, first and foremost, this podcast is all about me calling out myself half the time. I wasn't always great at that, and my wife cracks a joke now. I was like, "Yeah, you think there's a chance I can go back and help out on some Friday nights?" She was like, "I have Friday nights back. You're never getting them ever again." So we kind of laugh about it, but it's true, and she deserves them. So it's a big piece.
And my wife is my biggest fan. She's very supportive. I had a car. We had a car shop this week, this fall, and we were 2-8. I started 17 freshmen, or and sophomores, but we were 2-8. We played tough. We were in every game and ended up. We could have been 5-5, 6-4, and I'll never forget. We're 0-4, and we just lost our homecoming game. And Southlake's very fortunate. They got a field. We have a field house there.
Yeah.
So my wife comes and picks me up. And I get in the car. And she goes, "What's wrong with you? How are you, honey? I love you. How are you?" And I'm seething in the car. Right? We're 0-4, and we just lost homecoming.
Yeah.
You know what she says to me? "Good. Humble yourself and learn how to coach again." And I just laughed and said, "You know what? She's right." Then we went on and won 2 more games. It's funny how that works, 2 in a row. So, she's my biggest fan and cheerleader, and I'm lucky to have a partner like that.
To have their home.
Absolutely. And they're always, just like you said, they're always really good at knowing when to call us out, right?
Yep.
We want to sit there and we want to pout and stuff, and my wife would look at me the same thing. She's like, "Get over it. Like, go coach. Go do what you do. Get them better. Like that's your job, right? That's something that you talk about all the time. Go do it." I'm like, "Yeah, good point." Well, perfect, Coach. We always end everything, and I'm just going to ask you real quick. You have a lot of years of experience. We always ask people, what's the most unique thing your program does that maybe no one else does, or just maybe something unique that only a few other programs do that you guys do?
Well, I know everyone does community service, but we do community service Wednesdays, and we do. Groveland loves football. Groveland mascot, Stuckey area, they love football, and we're turning around and we're turning the corner. And this year we're looking for a special year. But I don't want them to always think about football.
Yeah.
I want to expose these kids to community service, to helping others, to not just see themselves, right? Because they'll be great teammates and we'll use all that stuff to be a good football team.
Yeah.
But that stuff, to me, next Saturday, the 27th, we're going to be doing a cleanup in Groveland. The mayor asked for us to go out and help her. And
that's pretty cool.
We had summer community service this year. The kids were awesome. I mean, we get the whole team there. They'll show up, and I know a lot of teams do this, but we are passionate about our community, very passionate. I went in, won a lot of games at my previous school. And I used to go to Publix and get soup and salad for lunch. I probably should have eaten more salad than subs. But went into the Publix at Stony Brook West all day long, every day. And I went in I took over in April last year, late. They hired me late. I applied late. They hired me late. And I went into the Publix in Groveland, and the GM came up to me and goes, I've never met this man. And he pats me on the back and says, "Hey, Coach Lord, give him hell tomorrow night." And
I love that.
And I'm like, how awesome is this? We got a community behind us. So we're going to give back to that community who loves football. I mean, you got a lot of rich football. Jeff Demps played at Southlake. Yep. Harrison played at Southlake, who just got inducted in the Hall of Fame. There's deep, rich football there. But they've won 1 playoff since 1991. One playoff game. So we want to give that gift back to the community, and I want that community to see my players in it.
That's awesome stuff, Coach. And a lot of coaches don't understand how much the players actually enjoy these community service projects. And once you actually get the players going on it, once they get past that initial moaning and groaning about going and doing it, they see the impact that they can have in their community, and it becomes a special bond for those players and their community.
Players need to do more stuff. When I was coaching up north in my younger years, I was a defensive line coach for a great head coach who thought out of the box. And he's one of the reasons I got back into coaching. And the drama teacher needed extras for Fiddler on the Roof. It was a big school. It was a big production. So I made us on Thursdays go do Fiddler on the Roof, right? And they were whining and complaining. The next year, they were like, Coach, can you sign up for the drama play? You know,
That's amazing.
So I like to expose our kids to all different types of things.
That's good stuff.
Absolutely. No, it's such good advice. And coaches, again, like we always tell you, if you have any questions for Coach, you want to send them over to us at theboarddrillpodcast@gmail.com. You can't gmail.com. I don't know if I said that right. You can go ahead and send us your questions. We'll make sure they get over to Coach. Coach, any other parting words for us? We appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you very much. This was awesome. I love talking football.
Absolutely, Coach.
Absolutely. We love it too.
Have a great day.
Thank you, Coach Lord. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Appreciate you.